When you buy Kroger brand products, you feel like you're winning. That's because they offer proven quality at lower than low prices. In fact, we guarantee that you and your family will love how Kroger brand products taste, or you get your money back. So next time you're shopping for the family, look for delicious Kroger brand products, because they'll make you all feel like you're winning. Shop now, in-store, or online. Bakers, fresh for everyone.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Giants Extra Point is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made ready for Giant fans. Hackensack Meridian Health keep getting better. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. And by Moody's. Decode risk, unlock opportunity. Learn more at Moody's.com. Giants fall to the Texans in preseason game number 2, 28-10. John Schmeelk, Jonathan Casillas with you for the next hour. A lot coming your way on Giants Extra Point. We'll hear from Brian Daboll live at the podium. We'll get the players from the locker room and all the great analysis from former Giants linebacker and special teams ace, Jonathan Casillas. JC, we spoke at halftime, and I really think the big story here is what happened in that first half. Overall, a sloppy game for the Giants, 5 turnovers overall. 2 of those interceptions from Daniel Jones early in the game. Had a third pass that could have been intercepted on the first play of the game, dropped by Stingley. But I think the more important part of the story is how he really turned things around after that and played an aggressive, explosive brand of football.
Yeah, and a fearless brand of football. He ran a couple times. He threw the ball down the field a couple times. And
More than a couple.
Yeah. The guy was throwing, a lot better than he did early on. The first 3 was a little rough, and then he finished that half very strong. And with a rocky start like that, off the, missing so much time, who knows what could happen. But he showed that he responds. He had that short-term memory, and I love the way he finished that first half.
Yeah, and I love the aggression, just continuing to throw the ball down the field. Pro Football Focus had a great stat. I think they had it on one of their social media accounts. Daniel Jones in this game completed more passes that traveled at least 20 yards in the air than he did all of last season. And that has to do with Brian Daboll's the play caller, Daniel Jones's approach, which I think comes from the conversations with Daboll, him being in the quarterback meetings all week. But you also got to give credit to the offensive line, JC. They protected long enough to allow them to run some of these downfield concepts.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing that stood out to me most, especially in the first half. They're just missing the one piece in John Runyon, but they look like a very good, collective unit.
No quick losses.
Right. And there was no sacks early. Daniel Jones was relatively clean in the pocket. The one down in the end zone where he avoided the sack and ended up throwing an interception.
And that was on the tight end, by the way, not on the offensive line.
But that was also a little bit later on in the play.
He held it a few times. Yep,
right.
A few minutes, a few seconds. Pardon me.
And of course a couple decisions, and a couple ball placements. But those things can be corrected, and those things that we've seen in the past. I just like how he finished, because I've seen a lot of times where guys start a game not fast and then they end the game poorly, and he started the game poorly, and I feel like he finished that half but at a very, good momentum-changing, momentum-gathering type of situation for the New York Giants. And defensively, they did very solid as well in the first half.
Yeah, and I think those 3 poor passes that people will probably focus on a lot this week, they're all different stories, right? The one that was returned for an interception by Petrie, that's just a bad decision. I know it's a safety. Just eat the sack. 2 points is better than 7 in that situation. I thought Theo Johnson could have done better playing through the play, too, to maybe knock it away at the end. But still, you take the sack there or throw it away on that first little hitch he had. The play to high it down the field to the right sideline, a little too flat, not enough air underneath it, a little underthrown. but Derek Stingley's also terrific.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is a story on the first pass of the game.
Yep.
Don't throw like a timing-based stop route against Derek Stingley on the first play of the game, because this might be his only preseason action. If you don't think he's looking to make a big play early. So, little different story on all three of those passes I'm sure Jones would want back.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this a little bit at halftime. Like, Derek Stingley is one of the better, if not, top 2 cornerbacks in the league.
He's Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber.
I've heard that a lot of receivers, top-tier receivers, name him as one of the guys. I've played with Darrelle Revis. I've watched Richard Sherman. They don't get targets for a reason, because when you throw it their way, it's a PBU, it's a pass deflection, or it's an interception, and Stingley proved that today. Daniel Jones have to do, I think, better in knowing who you're going against, and it doesn't matter the receiver over there. Sometimes those corners, they literally lock stuff down, and you got to look for other opportunities to get the ball to your playmakers, not when you have the best corner in the league just really running stride for stride with your best receivers.
No question about it. All right, let's take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll hopefully get Brian Daboll from the podium. That was today's game breakdown, brought to you by our local Ford stores. One engine drives this team. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Ford, official truck of the Giants. We'll be back with more on Giants Extra Point right after this.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
Back here on Giants Extra Point, John Schmeelk and Jonathan Casillas. Houston Texans defeat the Giants 28-10 in preseason game number 2. And JC, we talked about the man throwing the football in our first segment. Let's talk about the man that had his first ever catch as a member of the New York Giants in this game, and that is first-round pick Malik Nabers. And we saw the whole deal. He ran past guys. He contested had a couple contested catches over the course of the game, and you saw every part of his game that made the Giants select him 6th overall. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and like I said, this is what we've seen in training camp. I was wow. He wowed me every time I was at training camp. And, today wasn't short of that. The guy is a phenomenal wide receiver, a unanimous All-American over at LSU for a reason. He put it on display today. And once Daniel Jones and him really get that chemistry together and they have that, that timing down, I think we're going to see some really amazing plays from him. And Daboll calling the plays. He's a guy that's worked with, what's the kid name from Houston, the receiver?
Stephon Diggs.
When you got single high and you see number 9 on the outside, Nabers, you throw that ball to Nabers every single time.
All right, let's go to Brian Daboll. He's addressing the media after the game down in Houston.
Okay, so tough to win a game when you turn the ball over 5 times. Let's start with that. So one, decision at the back in our end zone, give up a score. The other one's one-on-one. Stingley makes a good play, and then turn it over there in the second half. So don't give yourself much of a chance when you turn the ball over. Obviously something we need to improve on, so that's what we'll try to do.
Dan's thought process on that first interception?
The one that they scored on? Yeah, we had a play-action pass call, a little bit of time. He moved to the left and then made a poor decision, backed up.
What should he have done there? Just have to get rid of the ball quicker?
Yeah, I'm going to go back and look at it. We'll evaluate it. That's what these games are for.
Was it important for him to finish the half the way he did?
Yeah, I was going to – one of the plans was to call some play actions, throw a bunch of deep balls today, just to see how our line does, let him drop back, let him feel a little bit of rush when it's live, and then try to push the ball down the field, which has been a point of emphasis. So it was good for him to hit Slay. That's the third play, or whatever, I think it was the third play, to Nabers. Stingley did a good job. He kind of had his arm, and that was a close one. So that was some of the things that we wanted to try to do, was try to push the ball down the field. Hit a couple of them, but it was good to finish that drive. I'd like to get a touchdown. But first game back after, a little bit of a layoff, live, scrambled for a first down. So did some good things, but obviously all of us, we can do better.
How do you handle that evaluation of him? Because like you said, it is his first game back.
Yeah.
But also you're trying to get ready for a game that's not far off that counts in September.
Yeah, that's what these games are for, too. Some evaluation part of it, but, obviously you have a plan going into it of, it's a little bit different than, I would say, a regular season game where you're scheming and doing things like that. So I wanted to make sure we had enough plays where we were we were throwing it down the field or given opportunities to throw it down the field. So, again, there was some good things. It was good to get him out there. And then a couple things we'll learn from, and that's what these games are for.
What went into Malik playing and
Yeah,
meaningful snaps?
sure. Yeah, no, he was ready to go. So anybody that was ready to go today was going to play. And then anybody that they thought needed some time, we didn't play. But whoever was ready to go, Kim, physically, we were going to play.
What did you see from Malik? He had a couple of highlight reel kind of catches.
Again, I won't go back and watch it, but he's a good player. He's a good player. So glad we have him.
Did you think the offensive line held up well when you did take deep shots?
I did, yeah. And some of it was some action game, Pat. Some of it was just drop back. I thought that first group, again, this is a faster defense. It's a good defensive football team. So I don't think we give up any sacks today until the end. I mean, we had a strip sack at the end with DeVito. But, again, we'll go back and watch it all and make corrections and try to get better this week.
I thought one of the matchups to watch in this game was your young secondary against maybe the best trio of receivers for those two possessions they had the ball. How do you think your defense, particularly the back end, performed?
Yeah, I think they did some good stuff. Again, when you turn the ball over 5 times and you give up one for a touchdown, that's tough. That's tough on a defense. So again, you don't want that to happen. It's better it happens in the preseason, obviously, so you can get some resiliency and learn from it. But I think there were some good things. That's a good football team. Tightened up in the red zone again, had another 4th down stop against their first unit. So lot to learn from, though. But let's just start with the turnovers.
Why wasn't Evan Neal in the uniform?
He wasn't ready to go. So anybody that was ready to go. And if, hopefully we'll get him this week. We'll see where we're at, but he's getting close.
Is it a conditioning situation?
No.
So what's holding him back?
His injury he wasn't ready to go.
He's still.
Yep. So I think next week, hopefully next week he's ready to go.
What did you think of the second interception? How did you read that play?
It was a good read. Stingley made a good play, kind of left it inside on him. It was man-to-man, Hyatt and Stingley. We had a little bit of a double move on there that turned into a go. And I think it left, he's left it a little bit inside on the right-hand side. So decision, fine. Stingley just made a nice play. We kind of left it inside on him.
Any injuries? Any update? McFadden, Yodney, Ryder?
No updates.
What about Gunner?
Gunner had an injury, what was it, Friday? Yeah, Thursday. Yeah, like Friday practice. But I think Gunner will be out for a little while.
Okay. All right.
All good? Thanks.
That's head coach of the Giants, Brian Daboll. His press conference is brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Let's take a quick timeout. We'll come back, react to that when we return. Giants fall to the Houston Texans 28-10. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
Back here on Giants Extra Point, the New York Giants fall to the Houston Texans in this game 28-10. We just heard from head coach Brian Daboll at the podium. JC, let's talk about it real quick here. He mentioned a few things. The first thing, not a surprise from head coach, 5 turnovers, hard to win a football game. That's the first thing you point to.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that's the number one stat in football between wins and losses, So the Giants didn't do a great job in protecting the ball. I mean, early they did, and then in the second half, the wheels just fell off. 3 fumbles in a row, basically to end the game, with Tommy DeVito getting strip sacked at the end. Thought he could have probably stepped up in the pocket and maybe even got rid of it for a completion down the field. But, can't win games with 5 turnovers, man. It's very difficult to do that.
Yeah, Lingard and Giles, the running back and wide receiver, also had fumbles there in half number 2. They needed 2. Daniel Jones picks, and Daboll talked about those 2 Jones picks early. What did you think of his description of why they happened, which is kind of what we covered in that first segment?
He said it was a poor decision on the first play, and then the second one, I don't think it was, he said it was a good ball, but you got to know who you're going against, man. That's one of the best corners in the league. If you're going to throw it, throw it.
Well, he said good decision, but he left the ball too far inside.
I'm saying decision like that's Stingley. You know what I mean? that's you got to make that decision.
Spoken like a defensive player here,
folks. Of course, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I played with the better corners, bro. If Revis was one of my teammates, bro, they didn't throw to him unless it was Megatron. and Randy Moss. You know what I mean? Like the best players in the league, but then also you got to know how to throw it to them. You know, and I even had Revis had success against some of these top-tier Hall of Fame type receivers. You know what I mean? And as of right now, I don't know if any of the guys on our roster is of that caliber, but Stingley is. You know what I'm saying? So as a quarterback, Daniel Jones, a guy that has been around the league, has thrown interceptions, has thrown touchdowns, you have to have a better, I think, decision-making when it comes to actually going against certain people. And I think that's a huge thing. Even next week, we got the Jets. Sauce Gardner, you might want to think twice about throwing towards him.
And in joint practice this week against the Jets when they have that joint practice on Wednesday. And he was asked about Malik Nabers. The media tried to give him a chance to gush over the rookie, and his response was simple and to the point. He's a good player.
He's good. I think that's a little short of what he really is, but that's Daboll, You don't want to, glaze him too much. But listen, the kid can play. He showed it today. He showed the reason why he was, number 6 pick overall to the New York Football Giants. I'm excited to see what he has in store for the season, but also to see the connection between him and Daniel Jones as it gets closer and then past the season opener.
And he mentioned that first play to Nabers down the right sideline. That was the third pass of the first drive, if I recall properly. And he throws it deep to Nabers. He actually released well against Stingley. Stingley wasn't impressed. He was off a little bit, but he had a good 2-3 yards of separation on him. Jones put it up to him. It was a good throw, and he went up for it. And we thought, watching on our tiny TV here, that they were trying that he was trying to get both arms up, and we thought he had kind of grabbed his forearm or wrist and wouldn't let his guard get his arm up, and that's pretty much what Daboll said in the postgame press.
Yeah, look, Stingley's amazing. He may not grab his hand, but he definitely hit it. And that definitely can, vary the way the receiver goes up for the ball. It's very hard to catch a one-hand pass like that. I mean, we've seen it happen. We've seen him do it. We've seen the old 13 do it before, but it's very difficult to do. Stingley's a tremendous wide receiver. Daniel Jones and Nabers, I think they're going to have a lot of plays that goes past 20 yards down the field this year.
And Brian Daboll said it. A emphasis for this game was a lot of play-action passes and get the ball down the field. Give the offensive line a chance to protect, to give Jones time. He said he was happy with that. We touched on that in the first segment. But I think, to your point, Malik Nabers and the confidence Jones will have in him to make plays on the ball, even when there isn't a ton of separation, like on that jumping catch you're going to hear later on in this postgame show, where he wasn't super open, but he was open enough because he's Malik Nabers. That, I think, will open the window and give Jones confidence to get the ball down the field far more often than what we've seen the Giants do over the last couple of years.
And if the Giants have the mindset of becoming that play-action type of team where they're taking shots down the field off of these play actions, the only way you can get that done is if you're running the ball efficiently, successfully. So if they have that type of approach, it's going to be a lot on the offensive line and Singletary to actually have success on first and second down so the play action could actually work. We didn't really see that today, but that was something that Daboll wanted to do and emphasize to make sure that his quarterback can go ahead and do those things that they want to do during the season coming up.
Giants football is brought to you by Verizon, the official 5G network of the New York Giants. Verizon, America's most reliable network. We're awaiting Daniel Jones. He should be hitting the podium shortly here after the Giants' 28-10 loss to the Houston Texans. Jason, we haven't even talked about the defense yet. Give me your thoughts on what you saw from that side of the ball in this game.
I think early on they did a really incredible job in limiting, what the Houston Texans did after the pick six, after the interception. They had the fourth down stop where they just, I won't say they allowed, but first of all, Stroud is a tremendous quarterback. We saw that guy throwing the ball around, kind of moving the ball at will, and then the defense stepped up and had them incomplete 3 passes in a row to cause that fourth down stop. And then also Case Keenum came in. He started moving the ball as well, but the Giants did a good job in keeping them very limited in points for, they were losing basically 0-2 in a turnover battle, and they going into halftime with 14-10 being down only 4 points. I think that bodes very well to them. But look, the play that we didn't talk about that I think is the play of the game, and it wasn't even a great play defensively because we gave up a lot of yards, was Elijah Chapman running down the running back. Bro, he looked like a wide receiver running down the sideline, bro. He was rolling.
Because when the running back got the ball, it looked like he was rolling.
Right.
And then he breaks out. He kind of stumbled a little bit. And all of a sudden, you see this 280-pound, stout little defensive lineman. First, you see him running, like, all right, that's pretty good. then it's like watching the Olympics and like the 800-meter dash. And in the last stretch, the one guy is like, oh, I still got something in the tank now. And he just takes off. That's what he did at 280 pounds, chasing down like a 195-pound running back.
That type of effort is how you show up on film. That type of effort is how you get noticed, not only from this team, but for all other 31 teams in the NFL. That type of effort can get you signed. I'm not saying it will for him, but listen, an extraordinary effort I don't think should be overlooked. And that's exactly what that was. And let's see who else this next week. The Giants got one more preseason game against the guys down in Jersey, other side of Jersey. And I'm trying to see who's going to be the guy to have that extraordinary play like Chapman next week.
Yeah, as people try to earn spots on that 53-man roster, Chapman's an undrafted free agent. He wasn't even one of the initial undrafted free agents. He was a bring-in tryout guy weeks after that initial pool went through. So he's one of those Chase Blackburn types, right, where try to figure out a way to make it onto that roster. Run or walk with Giants legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K racing kids run presented by Quest on Saturday, September 7th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt after the race. Stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at Giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, and maybe running's not for you. Maybe walking's not for you. Maybe recovering from a torn Achilles like Jonathan Casillas. You want to hang out and chill a little bit more. The night before, the Giants Fan Fest. Go check that out. You can buy tickets, Giants.com/FanFest. We'll talk that about a little bit more later on in the postgame show as well. We'll come back. We'll hear from Daniel Jones, other players in the locker room, that and more when we return. The Giants fall to the Texans 28-10. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Darius Slayton, and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, the Fan, WFAN and WFAN-FM New York.
And right off of that timeout, Daniel Jones from the 45 of Houston throws a bomb down the left sideline and hits Darius Slayton for a 44-yard gain. First and goal at the Texans 1.
And that set up the Giants' lone touchdown of the game. Devin Singletary had a 1-yard touchdown run showing some of that power to drive it in from 1 yard out. A 7-play, 68-yard drive that tied the game up at 7 apiece. That was today's scoring drive of the game, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made ready for Giant fans. All right, now it's time to take a look at today's stats. They're brought to you by the Archdiocese of New York. Learn more at cardinalsappeal.org. JC mentioned it. The Giants in the first half, productive with the passing game. Daniel Jones, 11 of 18, 138 yards. He did have those 2 interceptions we spoke about. Another one that got dropped by Derek Stingley, but a lot of downfield throws. A 44-yard catch for Darius Slayton, the big one we just heard. He had 3 catches for 59 yards to lead the Giants. Malik Nabers, 4 catches for 54 yards. A bunch of other receivers getting into the mix as well. Eric Gray, 5 catches, 22 yards. Jack Stoll, 2 catches for 15. Isaiah Hodgins had a pair of catches for 14 yards. Then you had catches for John Giles. He fumbled on that particular catch. Wan'Dale Robinson, Allen Robinson, Theo Johnson, and Joshua Kelly. On the ground, Devin Singletary, 10 carries, just 20 yards. He did have one 10-yard run, including a 1-yard touchdown run. Eric Gray, 3 carries for 18 yards. Lingard, 2 rushes, 13 yards. Joshua Kelly's 4 catches, 4 yards. Malik Nabers had an end around for 5 yards. For the Texans, very quickly, C.J. Stroud, 7 of 10, 88 yards. That dude looks ready to play in an NFL regular season game tomorrow if he needs to. Right. He looks very good. John Mechie, who was a great story. Right after he got drafted, he got diagnosed with leukemia, had to miss his rookie year. Last year, he was a little slow coming back. He's behind a bunch of guys now, a wide receiver, but boy, the Giants could not cover him today, JC. 6 catches, 68 yards, including a touchdown on the ground. J.J. Taylor, 5 carries for 36 yards. Cam Akers, 6 carries for 29 yards to lead the Texans. We're going to have a couple guys downstairs in the locker room in just a bit. We're going to get Daniel Jones at the podium as well. That and a whole lot more. Let's take another break. We'll be back with more Giants Extra Point when we return after this.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Brian Daboll, head football coach of the New York Giants, and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, the Fan, WFAN and WFAN-FM, New York.
Second down and 4 from the 38. Again, it's a 1-by-2 set out of the gun. Jones back to throw. Fires down the right sideline for Nabers, who makes a twisty grab inside the 20. First down, Giants, as he's knocked out of bounds.
The O'Hara wow in the background of that call speaks for us all. I think we all had that reaction as Malik Nabers came down with that unbelievable grab. He's our player of the game. 4 catches, 54 yards for Nabers. His first ever time touching the ball for the New York Football Giants, and 1 rush for 5 yards on an end around. Your player media availabilities in the locker room. They're brought to you by MetLife, the official insurance company of the New York Giants. Let's lead off with Malik Nabers.
Came down with a few catches today, including one spectacular one on the sideline. That had to feel pretty good.
I mean, yeah, it felt pretty good to, finally, come into the game, catch a few footballs. There's a lot of plays that, I didn't make, especially on the first one that I got. I'm still mad about that I didn't come down with that one.
Yeah, you're always hard on yourself. We see that at practice, and it looks like you have so much pride that it really does kind of get under your skin if you don't catch a pass.
I mean, it's a lot of opportunities to be made on the field. So, you never know when it's your next shot to get the ball. So I want to make every, opportunity I get the ball. Every time it's thrown my way, to show the quarterback that, every time he throws it my way, I'm going to be able to catch it anyway, somehow. Wherever he throws the ball, I'm going to be able to catch the ball.
All right, the leaping, spinning catch. Tell me what goes into that. You're running the route. When exactly do you see the ball, and what are you thinking about that you're going to have to twist your body and make the move that you need to make to get it?
I mean, me and Daniel, we be on page, so, I did a good release off the ball. I guess he read my release and wanted to throw it back shoulder, so I kind of thought the ball was going to be, over the shoulder, but, I just had to make a tough adjustment to the ball. I didn't really see it early on. I saw it late, so it was kind of just a late reaction of just, spinning my body and just trying to make the catch.
This is the first time you've been able to work with Daniel Jones in a game. Right. So what did you think about that chemistry, and how much more do you need to get as you prepare for opening day in a few weeks?
I mean, chemistry is there. It's still a lot of stuff to clean up, but, chemistry is there. It's showing out on the field. It's a few things we need to clean up for sure, but, chemistry there.
And finally, when you make a catch like you do today, how much can that generate a spark throughout the rest of the offense? Are you aware that it can do that kind of thing?
I mean, when I was in college, receivers we always say, the receivers is the spark of the game. So, when you make a tough grab or, a spectacular catch, it fuels the offense. When Slay made that, that tough grab, it fueled the offense, and, it led us to, to keep on going and score. So, to have that, in the receiver room, it's a need, it's a want, and we need that in the offense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Malik, what happened on that first one that you're talking about where you went up with one hand? Were they holding your other hand, or did you just think you couldn't get both hands up?
Sting, he had one on my arm. I tried to get it free, but by the time before I tried to get it free, I just had to shoot out, one of my hands. So it was just a late contested grab. One I got to make, I got to be strong in going up for the catch.
Why does your confidence not rattle? You take a big hit there as well. You come back and you end up with several catches, including like a crazy one on the sideline.
I mean, it's next play mentality. You got to move on. Dave asked me in practice, how you move on from a drop. I said, I don't move on. He said, well, I'm going to need you to move on. So it was just, it's next play mentality, move on. It's a lot of more plays to be made, through the game. It was the first quarter. They're going to keep on coming to me, you can see, but, it's a lot of things that goes on into it.
What do you mean when you say you don't move on?
I don't really move on from drops. I'm always hard on myself, like they say. I'm hard on myself, so, that it bothers me, even probably tomorrow it's still going to bother me, but it's a play that I got to make, so, I know deep down in my head I couldn't make it. So it just continues to bother me. But it's still, next play, when the ball gets to me, I still got to catch it. But, I'm going to still remember that play.
The Texans defense was a little bit of a different look than you guys have seen in camp and so far with the Lions. How would you describe the differences in the defensive looks you guys got today?
I won't say it's really any different. I would say, a lot of safeties, they was cutting the over routes, and the backside corner was pacing the post. So that was really different that we haven't saw. So, we had to just come on the sideline, give our feedback to the coaches, and continue to play football.
Yeah, he talks about going against Derek Stingley there, JC. A great challenge for a young receiver, and he confirmed what we thought we saw on TV, that he had his arm yanked down a little bit. But really good experience going against one of the top corners in the league like Stingley. And frankly, Nabers is able to get open, which a lot of guys can't do against Derek Stingley, former top 5 pick.
And I'm impressed by his post-game interview.
Yeah, me too. Very mature.
He's very hard on himself, and they lost. So I don't think he's in a good mood.
But not like in an arrogant, cocky way, though, either, at least in my opinion.
Right, but he sounds very mature, very self-aware, and very hard on himself. But, not hard on himself where he can't perform. He's like, I can't do that again. I'm going to get mad after the game. He's going to be mad the whole time on the way home. His mom probably texted him it's okay, baby. I saw the drop. He's that type of kid.
And I wouldn't even call that a drop, by the way. I think it's a rough calling that a drop. No, but he did.
He's holding himself accountable for that.
He called it a drop.
Right. He's holding himself accountable, and that says a lot. How old is the kid? 21, 22 years old?
He just turned 21.
Yeah. I mean, the kid's a baby, and he has that level of maturity, and he's not even a rookie yet. We didn't even get to the regular season yet. So I'm impressed by the kid, the way he plays. I've heard him speak before, but not after a loss. This is the first time I heard him speak after a loss where he feels like he made a mistake and let his team down by not catching a contested pass by one of the best corners in the league. The kids hold himself accountable. I love it.
The other thing I heard that I liked, he talked about how him and Daniel are on the same page, and it goes back to what we discussed on Big Blue Kickoff Live a lot the first couple weeks of camp, which you can find, by the way, every weekday, Giants.com, Giants mobile app in the afternoon, in that 12 to 2 zone.
Plug.
Exactly. There were some inaccuracies on balls down the field early in camp with DJ, not just to Nabers, also to Hyatt, and Brian Daboll's talked about this as well. It really seems like in the last, I'd say 10 days of camp, almost starting with Detroit, to be quite honest with you, last week in the competitive practices, Jones has gotten much more accurate, and his passes have been on the money more, and you can see he's learning the speed of these wide receivers. Let me ask you to comment on that, but also, is learning these guys' speed in practice different than learning their speed in a game situation, which DJ hasn't really done with Malik yet, and even to some extent Hyatt?
I think it is, but, I mean, where else are you going to rep it at? How are you going to get those reps? You got to rep it in practice, and I like what Nabers said about the ball, maybe not being in the right place when he thought it was a back shoulder pass. But he said, as long as you throw it to me, I'm going to go and get it. And it's something I've told, my young wide receivers that I deal with in high school and even my young guys in college. When that ball leaves the quarterback's hands and you're the target, it is not the quarterback's ball anymore. That is your ball to go get or make sure the defender doesn't go get it. That's the type of mindset you got to have when that ball is in the air, because when it's in the air, that's the franchise right there. The ball is the franchise, And with that mentality that Nabers has, look, it's like one of those things where they say he's always open, because even if it's contested, he feels like that's his ball. And no matter where the ball is at, he's going to go get it. I mean, the kid's a tremendous talent. I love the way that he's reflecting on himself after a loss, too. And he doesn't sound like he's, demonstrative or like he's upset. I know he is, but he doesn't sound like it. But I know he's upset, which is so good as a young guy.
Yeah, you didn't see like histrionics on the sideline, all that sort of stuff, which is good. Now, it's a preseason game. Let's see when the emotions get ratcheted up how that goes. Yep. But I think Brian Daboll was very happy with how he handled that in his first NFL action in a preseason game where he had a chance to catch some balls and had a little bit of adversity. The man throwing the ball to him was Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Madeline Burke managed to track him down. Didn't go to the podium. She tracked him down in the locker room after the game. Let's listen into that.
And then you see a Nabers make an athletic grab like he did along the sideline.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. I think with a guy like that, just giving him a chance and letting him go get it. Like I said, he's made plays all training camp, and it's good to see it on the field.
How's your body feel after the first game in 9 months?
Good, really good. Knee feels good, and I feel good.
As you break in Malik and even your second year with Jalen, what kind of luxury is it to have whatever it is now, 5-year time-tested chemistry with Darius Slayton?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I've played a lot with Darius and have a lot of trust and confidence in him. And, he's been extremely reliable. He's always in the right spot. He's obviously he's got the speed to take the top off and make plays. So, I feel really good about him, and he's had a good camp.
Daniel, this is the first time you've been in a live game with the coach, Coach Daboll, in your ear calling the plays. What was that dynamic like? Was it different? Did it take anything to get used to?
I thought it was good. I thought it was good communication throughout. yeah, like, obviously started a little shaky, but I think just kind of maintaining our confidence, composure, and continuing to push the ball down the field. I think that's, how we got it right kind of and got executing, got moving the ball, and I think that was important. So it was good, it was smooth, and we'll continue to work through it.
How do you feel about the game where you have Minnesota in a couple of weeks for the regular season opener? Do you want to play more in the Jets game, or you think you're pretty close to where you want to be?
I think you're always trying to improve. I mean, you're always trying to improve and get ready to go. I'll be ready if Dave's wants me to play. I'll be ready to play, and would love to be out there.
Great non-answer from Daniel Jones on that last question from the Tito, giving no hints as to whether or not he will play in preseason game number 3. I'm sure Brian Daboll will give us some idea as the week goes along here. You get past that one joint practice with the Jets on Wednesday. We'll see where we're at. But, JC, the thing I liked hearing from Daniel there is, again, we want to keep attacking and throwing the ball downfield. Brian Daboll called that a point of emphasis this year, getting the ball downfield. Daniel Jones has said it now. We've been asking for explosive plays from this offense since me and you started doing this show, Big Blue Kickoff Live, for like the last 4 years. It's been, besides the lack of protection, the most constant refrain that we have had. It sure seems like, and we'll see if they're able to execute it when the games count, but they understand if they want to score more points, they need more explosive plays, and everyone seems to be on the same page that needs to happen.
Yeah, 100%. As a defender, I played 9 years in the NFL at linebacker, so I wasn't really responsible for too many deep passes, in my career. But as a defender, if you have a guy on the outside that can stretch the field, and not only that, you have a quarterback that's willing to throw that ball several times a game, I'm going to look at my defensive coordinator and be like, hey, man, you better make sure you help that safety out, help that corner out.
And by the way, that if the other team is afraid of those plays, explain for fans how that can open up a lot of other things you do on offense.
I mean, it limits what you can do defensively. If you have that guy on the outside, playing against Randy Moss, you had to make sure you had a guy over top every time. So that guy that supposedly could help out in the run, he cannot help out on the run because he has to deal with a headache player on the outside.
Or if you bring the other safety in to help the run, guess what? You have
one-on-one coverage.
One-on-one on the other side.
And that's literally up top every single time. Some quarterbacks look and they see single high and they're throwing it. They're not even trying to see if it's a disguise or anything. They see a safety in the box with that dude on the outside. It could be a design run play, and they're going to check to pass because you have a guy on the outside that if you throw that ball up, he's going to go get it, and it's his.
It makes the whole offense simpler.
Oh, man, it does.
Drew Lock was talking about this to me when I had him on the Giants Huddle podcast back in June, and he goes, it makes it easy for a quarterback when as soon as you see the other team in man, you know who you're throwing the ball to.
Yep.
And that's what he said. He's that type of player where, this was his quote, you pray the defense plays man-to-man defense.
Yeah.
Because you have a guy you know is going to win every time. And it makes life so much easier. You don't have to do these complicated full-read progressions on the end zone. Or what are they doing on this side of the field? No. You have the guy that you know is going to win one-on-one. You're going to that player.
Yep.
It makes it so much easier.
And the only way to actually do anything when you're a man-to-man in that type of situation is if you have to double him. Now, if you're doubling him, there's no free safety, there's no whole player in the middle, and everybody else is single covered.
So that makes your decision as the quarterback easy too.
Yeah. So it's so valuable to have a guy like that. But the thing is, the Giants just don't have one capable deep threat in Nabers. They have at least two more. Slayton caught a 44-yarder today. Yeah. And Hyatt was the best 2 years ago in college. He was the best deep ball threat in all of NCAA.
Not to mention Wando Robinson's quickness in the slot. If he's one-on-one with that help, he's going to be helping that open in that short or intermediate area all game long.
It just opens up the entire playbook, man, and you got to just be excited about it.
Or you keep two safeties deep in every play, and then you just run the ball with favorable boxes.
Right, or just chip away. Those little passes become little big runs, and then Wando Robinson making people miss. And look, man.
There's a reason, JC. The second highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL is a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And of the next 6 or 7 guys, 5 or 6 of them are wide receivers. And about to have another one in that group with CeeDee Lamb, and another guy in that group with Brandon Ayuk, whether that's with the Niners or somewhere else or whatever. All these number one wide receivers are getting paid because of the jobs that they do and how they can make a defense chains. Giants TV is presented by Bob's Discount Furniture, and it's the official connected TV app of the New York Giants, available for free now on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and inside the Giants mobile app. Stream game highlights, interviews, TV shows, and more exclusive video content with Giants TV. One of those wide receivers that will benefit from all the attention given to Malik Nabers is Darius Slayton. He had a 44-yard reception that was about a half a yard short of being in the end zone today. Slayton talked about that play and more in the locker room with Matt Owen and Paul after the game.
I think it was good. We got 2 good halves of football. I think we got at least 6 drives, or something like that, 6, 7 drives. So we played a lot of ball today. We'll see how much we play next week. But at the end of the day, I love playing. So, I think you can never get enough, time playing. But obviously, we're going to go to practice this week and continue to get better.
At the same time, how difficult is it knowing that it's going to be vanilla in the preseason? And in the back of your mind, there's a whole new playbook once the regular season starts.
Yeah, for sure. But that's why it comes down to us winning our matchups, though. You got to win your one-on-ones outside. It kind of puts the onus on the player to win as an individual, and I love that part of football. It's a vanilla, so what? They're a man. You got to go out and beat a man and make a play.
All right, if you could take me into the huddle now, tell me about Daniel's demeanor, his control. Did he look nervous at the start to you? Did it feel like all of a sudden he started to get his sea legs after maybe the first drive or two?
Yeah, I think obviously, like I said, didn't want to start the game that way, but didn't look anything out of the ordinary. Even after the 2 turnovers we had, he was still steady and calm and confident. And obviously that next drive we went and scored 7 points. And this drive after that, we went down and got points. So, like I said, I think we did a good job of shaking back and doing a pretty solid job in the first half.
We know his rehab has gone well, but think about this. 9 months after ACL surgery, and here he is on the field with you taking real snaps. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, guy's got crazy work ethic. He's been grinding. He's been working really hard to get back out there, and I think it showed. And I'm just glad he's back.
Darius Slayton, thanks for your time.
Of course, thank you.
Slay, quick question. You guys, got out there on the field. Obviously, it's a vanilla offense, but what did you learn about the Giants' offense today?
That we make plays. I think you saw Malik flashed. He made some plays. I made some plays. Dale made some plays. We got a lot of guys that can do something with the ball in their hands. And Motor did a great job running it today. O-line looked really good. So I think we showed, what we can be when we do it right. But, obviously, you can't have the turnovers, things like that.
Offensive line, obviously, a point of emphasis for a while. You've known that.
Yeah.
Seeing the way that this unit has played so far in the preseason, what is giving you optimism about that group this year?
I think mostly that we've imposed our will at times. Like when I made my play, we got down on the 2-yard line, and sometimes it's really important just to be able to knock them back and get it in there. Not have to get all creative and come up with all type of stuff. And we were able to do that. We were able to push back, and we got in the end zone pretty easy the second time we ran the ball. So just that in itself is a big win, because that's going to come up a lot in games. So I think they did a great job both in pro and in the run game, and I think they'll continue to be that way.
JC, I love the way Slayton talked about, well, you know what? We're not going to scheme open wide receivers in the preseason. We're not doing a lot of motion, all this other crazy stuff, rub routes and all that stuff. He's like, well, that means it's on the receivers to get open, and he likes that. And the Giants, for once, have 4 guys with the speed and quickness to create separation, JC.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen the stable of wide receivers that the Giants have now. And look, Slayton has been the most consistent guy at that position for the last 5 years for the New York Football Giants. He's a reliable guy. He's a deep threat guy. He averaged over 15 yards per catch for his entire career. So the guy understands football. He understands matchups. He made a great play today. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this year because, look, his stats are good, but they might be great this year given the amount of star power they have and the speed that they have on the outside and the mindset going into this year by not only Daboll, but the quarterback, Daniel Jones.
Giants football is brought to you by our local Ford stores. One engine drives this team. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com, Ford official truck of the Giants. Let's take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll hear from Bobby Okereke, one of the captains of this Giants defense, when we return for one more segment after this short timeout.
You're listening to Giants Extra Point on the WFAN Giants Radio Network.
This is Dexter Lawrence II, and you're listening to the radio home of Big Blue, The Fan, WFAN, and WFAN FM, New York.
Tank Dell is wide to the left. Diggs is wide right. Motion to the left by Collins. Out of the gun. Back to throw goes Stroud. In the pocket, fires, and the ball is knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Was it Dexter Lawrence, I believe, who got his hand on it, and the Giants take over on downs.
That's today's Play of the Game, brought to you by your local Ford stores. One engine drives this team. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. Ford, official truck of the New York Football Giants. Back here on Giants Extra Point for about 5 more minutes. John Schmeelk and Jonathan Casillas recapping the Giants' 28-10 loss to the Houston Texans. That was a 4th down red zone stop. Second straight week the Giants turned the team over in the red zone, going for it on 4th down. One of the Giants' defensive leaders that was on the field for that stop was Bobby Okereke. We caught up with him in the locker room after the game.
Great momentum for us as a defense, as a team. Battle, like I said, it was a 13-play drive, so getting all the way down to the wire and coming up victorious was good.
You played a lot of football. Not everybody on this defense is still a lot of young guys. How does the defense react when the offense gives away 7 points?
It's tough. I mean, this is an emotional game, so everyone has their instant reaction. But you got to have a tough mindset. You got to be resilient and just focus on the task at hand. Shane said it earlier in the week. We get paid to play defense, so it doesn't matter whether it's after a punt, after it's a kickoff, whether it's a turnover. Like, we're excited every time we get to take the field.
Bobby's first game live action you've had with your starters on defense, and some new pieces and a new coordinator. Could you really gauge what the chemistry was and how far you guys have come since camp started?
Yeah, I felt it was good. I think that first drive was a good testament of the camaraderie we've built, being able to battle, kind of looking in everybody's eyes and just seeing how resilient we were all the way down to the end. Did a good job in the run game to start. First couple quarters, just got to tighten up the explosive pass game. And obviously our pass rush getting after the quarterback will help us a lot.
Probably concern inside linebacker depth. We saw Micah carted off. Matt, what kind of concern is that? Have you talked to Micah?
Yeah, I know Micah got rolled up on a little bit. We'll see where he's at. I know Matt Adams too. But we have great depth. We drafted Darius. He's coming along really well. We got Darian Beavers. We got KJ coming in well. Carter Coughlin coming off an injury. So we have a good, talented room. And when we get those guys back healthy, we'll be even better.
And we'll get to those injuries in a second, JC. First, I want to give credit to the red zone defense. One of the reasons Brian Daboll decided to hire Shane Bowen, and he talked about this on the Hard Knocks over the offseason, was one, the rush defense, but number two, the red zone defense. They've been consistently, the Tennessee Titans, when Shane Bowen was there, one of the best top red zone defenses in the league, and we've already seen that show up early in these 2 preseason games. Talking to people on the Giants' offensive side of the ball, they've said to me that, look, it's just so sound and so solid. There's nothing easy. What makes a good defense even better in the red zone? What do you see, and how important is that for a defense?
I think 2 things. I think number one is communication. You understand that the field is a lot wider than it is long. So meaning like you don't have that much real estate. Deep balls aren't really there.
They can't go over your head.
Right. And everything's in front of you, but everything happens so fast down there, And then also the chemistry with your guys, communicating and also chemistry will help you. Being downhill will help you. Playing linebacker, playing fast. These running backs, a lot of good teams that are good in the red zone, they love to run the football. So being able to stop the run in the red zone, being a good run-stopping team usually means you're probably a good team in the red zone, because teams don't want to pass down there because it kind of limits them offensively in what they can do. And if they can stop the run and have the team throwing the ball more, that advantage goes to the defense.
All right, now let's talk about the injuries, and we'll take a look at the injury report from today's game. And the 3 injuries that got reported, we saw some other guys kind of come in and out of the game a little bit. Ryder Anderson had to leave the game with a hamstring in the first half. Micah McFadden, you heard the question to Bobby Okereke during that post-game interview. He did have to get carted off with that hip injury. He was downgraded to out after initially being called questionable. And again, we say carted. We don't know if that's because the tunnel's far away from where the injury happened and what that works. So we'll get more information on him during the week. And then Matthew Adams, another linebacker, had to leave the game because of a groin injury after a really nice hit on a run play, knocking the running back good 3-4 feet out of bounds. A nice violent hit. But heading into this game, JC, you already had Deontay Johnson out with an ankle. Carter Coughlin's battling things as well. So you're really down to Okereke, KJ Cloyd, who's a new arrival, Darian Beavers, and rookie Darius Muasau. So this linebacker spot right now is pretty thin.
Yeah, and he said they have depth, but Bobby, you're in preseason. You know, like, Bobby, how much you planning on playing next week, Bobby?
You need like 8 dudes.
You know what I mean? You need a little more people. You come in the game short 2, you leave short another 2. You know, hopefully they can get Carter Coughlin back. Micah McFadden, the phenomenal year he had last year, over 100 tackles, responsible for 5 turnovers last year, 4 recoveries, and then also an interception. He's huge, and hopefully it's not a long injury and he can play at least by the start of the first week, right? And then you look, Carter Coughlin is a guy that's been very, very good on special teams. Has been kind of the bell cow as a 4-core teamer for the New York Giants for the entire time he's been in the NFL. Deontay Johnson has had flashes, and maybe we can get him back. But look, it's going to be a lot of Darius Muasau next week. And I was excited to see him play today, but maybe next week he'll maybe get the start.
He's fast to the ball, man. He's got some instincts.
Yeah, he is. Short, compact guy, but it looks like he's not afraid to get nasty in there in the middle. So I'm excited to see what he has. And Darian Beavers, I expect him to have a better week because today I don't think he had the game that he wanted to have this week. Couple missed tackles here, but that happens early on, and I'm sure he will bounce back, have a good week of practice, have a good Wednesday against the New York Jets, and have a good game next week.
All right, final thoughts here before we say goodbye. Jets' final preseason game next week. That is a Jets home game, Giants on the road at MetLife Stadium against the Jets. The joint practice on Wednesday, JC. What do you want to get out of this final joint practice? We'll see if they play the starters next week, considering they're having a joint practice. Sometimes they don't play the starters the week they have the joint practice. How do you think they will handle it, and what do you want to get out of this last week of real work before you get the final or the initial 53 roster cut down a week from this Tuesday?
I hope there's no fights. I think that's number one from what we've seen from Detroit last week. I hope that, they don't get into that stuff and they just have a really good, solid practice where they're getting better because the Jets roster is good. They have some really good players, especially on defense. I mean, offensively, they got, really good receiver, a 4-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers.
I lost count, to be honest with you.
So they have, they're going to be tested in practice. We don't know, how both of these head coaches are going to approach the game, but definitely at practice. This is a little bit of a little bit of pride right here.
Well, talk about that. What is it about being around town when you're facing the Jets?
Hey, listen, I've had a chance to play the Jets in the regular season, not just the preseason, which is a staple for the Jets and the Giants every single year. But, just a little bragging rights. It's the Jersey team that they call themselves the New York team. And it's definitely a little bragging rights for at least a year. Until the next time you scrimmage or play against those guys. So, it's a pride thing. It's a little bragging rights type of deal because you'll see those guys out in the city when you go out to eat. You'll see those New York Jets guys like, hey, how about that loss we just gave you? It's cool to have that, one up on, I guess, the little brothers down in South Jersey.
It'll be a fun week. And then, again, a week from Tuesday, they cut down to the initial 53. And obviously, there's always work done after that. You got to name the practice squad guys, claim other players off of waivers. The Giants, remember, they picked 6th in the draft last year. That means they're 6th in the waiver order. So they'll have a good opportunity to get any players that they want to claim that other teams decide to let go. JC, this was fun. One more of these fake games to go. I'm sorry, preseason games to go until we get to some real football that first weekend of September. Look forward to it.
Yes, sir.
For Jonathan Casillas, I'm John Schmeelk. Giants Extra Point was brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. Citizens is made ready for Giant fans. Hackensack Meridian Health keep getting better. Peerless Boilers, the world's best-built boilers, and by Moody's. Decode risk, unlock opportunity. Learn more at moodys.com. For Jonathan Casillas, I am John Schmeelk. Giants fall to the Texans 28-10 in preseason game number 2. The Giants, again, they have a joint practice against the Jets on Wednesday this week. We'll have coverage on Giants.com. The Giants mobile app will be trying to go live for Big Blue Kickoff Live right after that practice on Wednesday. Otherwise, stay tuned to Big Blue Kickoff Live. We're live every weekday afternoon this week as we continue to cover the Giants in training camp and everything that goes on at practice. Our next broadcast will take place against the New York Jets on Saturday, August 24th. Kickoff is 7:30. Join us right here along our radio network and locally here in New York on WFAN at 6:30 p.m. Again, Saturday, August 24th for our next broadcast. And of course, go folks, Giants Fan Fest will take place that Friday night before the regular season at Giant Stadium. Gates open at 5. You can go get your tickets at giants.com/FanFest. We celebrate the 100th season. All-time great Giants Great guests, guys you don't see a whole lot of. Make sure you go check it out. Jonathan Casillas will be there. We'll all be there celebrating the Giants' 100th season. It's really going to be a great event, folks. A huge drone and fireworks show at the end of the night around 8 o'clock. It's great for diehards, old school fans, kids, you name it. Please go. It will be a great night. Giants.com/fanfest. Giants Extra Point was brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. Citizens is made ready for Giant fans. Hackensack Meridian Health keep getting better. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. And by Moody's, the code risk unlock opportunity. Learn more at moodys.com. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Hey everyone, it is Ryan Seacrest here. Ready to heat up your summer vacation? Get ready, things are about to get sizzling at Chumba Casino. Your summer getting a whole lot hotter with a special daily login bonus waiting just for you. So sign up now for Reels of Fun and Reels of Prizes right here at Chumba Casino with yours truly. Join me at ChumbaCasino.com and dive into a summer of social casino fun.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
When you buy Kroger brand products, you feel like you're winning. That's because they offer proven quality at lower than low prices. In fact, we guarantee that you and your family will love how Kroger brand products taste, or you get your money back. So next time you're shopping for the family, look for delicious Kroger brand products, because they'll make you all feel like you're winning. Shop now, in-store, or online. Kroger, fresh for everyone.